AdminLTE3 integration with Angular 10 application. And that is not all, guys. Even we are going to implement one more interesting thing, and that is based on a practical need. So what we will cover in this video, of course, we will integrate this beautiful admin 3 design. We will select one of the dashboard and we'll work on that. Also, we will implement the login functionality, the routing functionality, right? So it is not like we will create one app component and we'll dump all the data at once. Rather, we'll segregate as per the components. Like we will have different header component, we'll have different login component. I have already implemented this. You can see this is my Angular 10 application working on running on 4200. So if I click on this login submit one, then I'm redirected to this home page. Then if I click on about us, then this is the about page, and then if I click on the logout, then it redirects me. So this is something I have already built, but I don't worry, I will rebuild this step by step. There are around 12 steps which we will follow, and once we'll complete this, we will replicate exactly same the way I have already implemented. So guys, ready for this? Let's begin. And to start with, let me open my steps. As I said, we have 12 steps. These are the 12 steps we will follow. So the first thing is, okay, so for the first few steps, 3 and 4 steps, I already done a one video which is in detail. That is the implementation of AdminLTE with Angular 10, but that is just the integration with AdminLTE. I have not implemented login and other functionality which we'll cover in this video. So if you want to do that in detail, then you first watch the part 1. The link is already shared in, I'll be actually sharing in the description. You can watch in the detail, but I'll follow the couple of steps which are third and the fourth step really quickly, and then we'll focus on the rest of the steps. Okay, the first step, the second one is install AdminLTE latest one. Okay, so to run the AdminLTE, open command prompt, then in the command prompt enter this command npm install -g for the global sign Angular CLI. This would install Angular CLI latest version. Since I already have that, so I can just verify this by checking its version ng-version, and you can see the version is 10.2. Okay, if you have already installed the Angular admin CLI, then maybe you can update the version to the latest one. Now next is create new application. Now to create a new application, at first we finalize our location. I mean, I'm going to select work on this location. Open your command prompt and create an app, my admin app with login. Okay, now press enter. We should be prompted with few inputs. Would you like to add the routing? Yes, of course we want to add the routing. Press Y. Which format do you want? CSS, SCSS, SAS, LESS, whatever. So I generally prefer SAS one. You can choose up to your requirement and whatever feasible to you. This will take 2 minutes. I'll pause and will resume once it completes. Okay, it has successfully installed. Let's close this and see, do we have our application? Yes, we have. Move to our next step. It says install AdminLTE3. Again, we have a command. Copy the command. Open command prompt. This time inside the location. First, before this command we were here. Now we have to enter to this location. Enter this command npm install AdminLTE. Again, it will take some time. Let me pause the video. Nice. It has installed the AdminLTE as well. And how we can verify? Go to your node modules. Look for AdminLTE. We have the AdminLTE now. Perfect. Now we have to run this application. Open command prompt once again and write code dot. This is the shortcut to open application in Visual Studio Code. And yes, I will be using Visual Studio Code. You can make use of any editor or whichever you prefer. So now you can see we have the application. Open your terminal. In the terminal, at first I'll build my application. Although it should build successfully, since this is a default template generated by AdminLTE, but just to make sure, I'll rebuild once again. I'll build it once again, and then we'll run the application. Let me pause because it will again take some time. Okay, build successful. Now let me run the application by running a command ng-serve -open. This would open the application in Chrome in the default browser. My default browser is Chrome. And since 4220 is already running, so I'm going to run this application in port 4300. Press enter. Then it should run our application in Chrome. I think it will take time. Let me pause it once again. Okay, so it has started our application. Now you can see this is our default application. Perfect. What is my next step? Verify the package.json. We have already seen we have the AdminLTE by going into the node modules. Now we need to generate the components since we want to implement the login functionality and the routing. So maybe let me open another terminal. So here I can create the commands. So ng generate component login. At first we'll create a login component. Then we'll create our header component. Next is home, which would actually our kind of dashboard control will have a body, the main content of the application, and the about us maybe. These are the 4 components we are creating. Okay, what next? Update application with AdminLTE, JS and CSS. Okay, now go to this AdminLTE dashboard, and now you have to finalize at first that which dashboard do you want to implement for your application, dashboard 1, dashboard 2 or dashboard 3. So let's suppose if I go for this dashboard 2, right click on the application, this page, click on view page source. Here you can see this design is coming with the help of some CSS and JS. So you can find these are the CSS, and similarly these are the JS at the bottom through which this is rendering. So we need to copy the references of these JS CSS. Do not worry about where these CSS and JSs are because they already exist. So where they exist, if you go to your application path, click on node modules, click on AdminLTE, and in the AdminLTE, look for the path. It says plugins, font awesome. So look for plugins, go for font awesome, and then CSS. Then we have all dots. Similarly, if you follow any path, you will have the CSS with you. Now, next question is, or next thing which you need to do, we need to provide the reference. Already we have the CSS and JS. It is just that we need to provide the reference. And to provide the references, we have this angular.json, and we have this style and script. So in the styles, we'll copy the CSS, and in the scripts, we will copy our JS files. Now, how do you copy this? Just take the path, and let me even take it. Right. So where exactly this exists? It exists in the node modules. So let me copy this node modules, and inside the node modules, we have to go to this AdminLTE. Okay, perfect. Now, since you have already understood that this will take time, and just to save time, I already have these things in my file. So let me open this. These are my CSS. Hope you have already understood. There is nothing to worry about. It is just about providing the path. Similarly, you need to provide the path for your scripts. Perfect. Now you have the AdminLTE CSS and AdminLTE JS with you. Now what next? Add Bootstrap. Okay. Now we need to integrate one more CSS, which is the Bootstrap, so that we can have this design. And for the Bootstrap, okay, we already have the path here, and you can add it maybe at the top. Make sure you add it at the top. Then JS file, make sure you add it after the jQuery. So just a sec. Okay, so you have the Bootstrap JSS and the Bootstrap CSS as well. What next? Changes. Okay, now next is open your index dot. Now we have to copy the HTML. So you have the JS, you have the CSS. Now what next? You need to copy this content. As I said that we cannot, or we will not be directly copying and pasting all the content. Rather, we will implement the components, and component wise we will place the data. But before we do so, it is important that we copy the top header class. Go to your body and place this as it is. Okay, now we have the class as well. What next? Now let's open our app.module. Here we will implement our routing part. That's a super important one. So before we implement, let me at first bring the dependencies. First, you need the router dependency. Next, this is going to be our route. Although this also becomes the different JS part, but right now I'm going to keep this as it is here. and in the import we'll finalize. Okay, now let's understand. First of all, we have imported the route module. Then we have defined our routes. So basically we're gonna have three routes. One is the dashboard, home, and about. Now dashboard is going to be your main page, and it will contain the children elements, home and about. And at the root you will always have the login one. So if user is user is coming with empty one, or if it's not providing any route, then it will be redirected to the login page. So this is about setting the routing. Then we need to update the header and the app components. Let's open the header component at first. Again, we'll first update it and then we will understand this. Maybe you can paste it here. And then similarly, since we are implementing children and parent hierarchy routing, then that's why we are placing this outlet to two different files. One is the header one, and another one is the app component. So open your app component. You can see we already have the default data, but just get rid of this default data and paste it here. So what will happen at first, this router outlet will be called, and once this is called, it will further creates the paths inside this. We'll further understand once we'll run the application, don't worry. Sometimes it becomes confusing. Then update login and admin form and JS update. Okay, so this is our 11th step in what we need to update our login form. Now let me go to login.html. See, you can see right now we do not have anything. We have login works. So we will create a form, and we will have some buttons. On click of button, we will be redirected to our home page. Now to do so, again, we will make sure, or we will copy this from AdminLTE site. So you can see we have forms available. If I click on the general element, so what you can do, again, generate an inspect element, and you can copy this card this one. Click on edit HTML and you can copy the entire HTMLs. But after the copying this, you might need to actually remove this file input and maybe check me out, and few more other changes you need to do because this is just a static data. So I've already done that. So let me take that code as it is, and for that I need to go here and go to my login.component. You can see I'm already having this information. So I'll paste it. Do not worry what I'm doing. It is just a plain login HTML you are creating. You can create any bootstrap form. You can create any HTML form. It is just that we are on a AdminLTE. That's why I have copied from the AdminLTE. So this is the login component. And next is, as I said, there is a button, right? On click of button, I should be redirected to my home page. So I should be having one method here. So let me copy this method as well. So first I need to provide the dependency of routing once again. Let me paste it here and provide the dependency of routing here as well. So here's a router, here is a login button, and on click of this button, I'm navigating to dashboard home URL, and where it is defined, we have already seen in the app module. This is the dashboard and this is the home page. Good. What next? Update login with AdminLTE form and JS we have updated. Copy image path to SRC. Okay. Our AdminLTE, you can see we have so many icons, so many images, right? So by default, the path of this application is something different. So if you go to to your application in the node modules, in the AdminLTE, and in the dist, in the images, you can see the images resides here. But generally we never take path from here. Rather, we take it from the different path, and the path is, although you can keep it at any location and then you need to update the path, but the best practice is to keep in the SRC and inside the asset folder. Here we are. So we have just copied AdminLTE by default images at perfect location. Okay, now let's build the application, run and see what is the current state. So at first, let me go to terminal 1, control C, so that I can stop the application. And at first I'll build the application. Let me pause the. Okay, nice. So build is successful. Now let's run ng serve -open -port 4300. Let's run the application. Okay, so it has started the application. Now you can see we are at localhost 4300 and the login page. We had at 4220, I think earlier. Then we have at 4300. Now just enter the user ID and the password. It can be anything. And now if I click on the submit, I'll be redirected to dashboard page. So click on submit. Okay, so we have been now redirected to this dashboard home page. But since you can see that there is nothing called AdminLTE here, there is no UI exists, we'll implement again step by step. So let me first try to redirect to about page just to make sure my routing is working perfectly. Okay, my routing is working perfectly. I can move forward. So then yes. Now what next is? Next is, at first let me open my header component. Let me open my home component, and let me open my about component. Perfect. These are the three components. Now if I show you a quick thing, if I just right click on a dashboard 2, maybe just a second. If I click on a dashboard 2, and if I go to view page source, and from here, actually rather from this here div wrapper, you have to be very careful while taking the data. If you do any small mistake, that would be really difficult for you to catch if you miss any div tag or anything. So for a moment, let's suppose go to your home component and control A, control V, just paste it. Let's see what happens. Let's run our application. Hope it should be already working. Yes, click on submit. Here we are. So now you can see that this is our data. But as we discussed earlier, that we will not paste everything in the one component. Rather, what we will do, we will paste it in different components. Like header will be pasted into the header component. Then home will be in a different, about us in the different. So what you should do, you need to carefully cut the data whatever you want. For example, I know this is the nav bar, right? This is the nav bar. So if you scroll down, and until you find the scroll bar, maybe this is, hope I have not missed anything. Okay, let me at first paste it here. So let me get rid of this home component and back to the previous state, and open my header component and paste the data here. Is there anything I'm missing? No, seems like. Now let's see what happens. Now you should notice, if I first go to this submit page, you can see that right now we do not have this home screen, right? We just have the header. Although it is still incomplete, we do not have images and few things, but you can see we have partially copied our AdminLTE data. Now similarly, as per your need, as per your requirement, you can copy X data and paste it in your different component. Since we have actually copied the header one, now we'll copy in the home component, and similarly then we will copy in the about us. Now we have copied this, right? Now what next is? Next is the home component. So what you can do, you can copy from this content wrapper to just before, maybe to footer, and paste it in the body part. But it is little difficult to make sure that every tag and everything is correct. I have actually already copied that data, but again, do not worry that I have actually taken from here only, but I have double make sure that the tags are perfectly open and closed. So what I will do, I will just take the reference of that code. So first I will go to this header component, and from the header component I'll copy as it is. You can see I already have the in the header one. I'm just replacing just to make sure we have the perfect closings of the component. Now open my home component. Similarly, in the home component again I'll copy the data, and in my application I'll paste it as it is. So that's my home component, that is my header component. Now next, what I'll go into the header component ts file as well. So what this ts file will contain, I'll explain you. Actually on the header, actually I have three buttons which will be helping me in redirecting to home page or about page and log me out. So I have to create those methods as well. Since I already created, I'll simply go to my header component.ts file and paste it here. Perfect. Then it is asking for the router. I'll just simply paste the router here. Perfect. So hope you all are clear. I am not doing anything special. It is just that these are simple methods which would help me in redirecting. So header component, I'll just created those method in the HTML. I have not copied anything special. This is the same which exists on the AdminLTE website, right? So header is done. Header component is done. Now let's focus on the sorry, about us component. Maybe you can take the about us component, copy the data as it is and go to your about us component and paste it here. Anything, it's not like you write this code here. Even you can keep this welcome about us. It is just for the demo purpose. I have added some data from the AdminLTE website. Right now let's build our application, and at first let me click on the routing. Now you can see this our login page. This has some design. Maybe user can enter his credentials, click on submit. Of course this is not connected with the server since this is a UI one. So click on the submit, and then you can see this is our header component, right? And this is our home page. If I click on home, it says welcome home. That's my routing. If I click on about, it says about works, right? And now you can see that it is somehow not loaded. Why it is not loaded? Let me go to this page. I think it was not saved earlier. It should refresh, or uh, 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 just a sec. It should have loaded. Okay, here we are. It has loaded, right? This is my about us page. This is my home page. Sometimes ngserve sometimes automatically refreshes the pages, but sometimes it doesn't. So we can always press F5, or sometimes we can press Control F5. And if I click on logout, I'm at actually logout screen. So that's all for today's demo, and hope this would be beneficial for you guys. And I create videos only based on that requirement, which actually in practical we need. Now let's suppose in my project my requirement is just to start with Angular 10 application, which should have routing implemented, which should have beautiful design of AdminLTE integrated and the login functionality. So what I can do, I can directly take the reference of this video, or what I'll do, I'm also going to share the same video to my GitHub location as well. So you can either follow the steps what I have done, or you can directly clone the code from GitHub location, and the only single command you need to write, that would be npm install. Now this would automatically install all the packages which exist in the package.json file, and after that you just need to do the ng serve or maybe ng build, and you should be good to go. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching this video, and please do subscribe Coding Book. That's really important for me to keep me motivated. And if you have any query, any doubt, if you face any problem in implementing or integrating any of the component, because sometimes it might be trouble that some of the chart is not getting loaded, some of the maybe this wizard is not getting loaded, some of the components. So maybe there can be a JS issue. You may not have entered the correct path for the JS. So these sort of issue you might face. Do not worry. You can always text me in the YouTube comment. I would be really happy to answer them and help them. Thank you for being at Coding Book. Have a nice day, guys. See you soon.